So welcome everyone from my side as well. We put together several dashboards of various Superfund sites this year, and I just picked 3 of these sites that I want to show you today in EQuiS. So I think we will get to these 3. Maybe we can have a quick look at a 4th one. There are more dashboards that we created, and we have a little PDF file with screenshots of all of them that we can distribute later on if you're interested in that. So a little bit of history first. I have one slide for each of these Superfund sites. So the first one is that Gold King mine site that you probably know. That is an abandoned mine in Colorado. That is one entrance to that old mine over here. And that is the river over there after the event that happened there. So what happened over here? We had a wastewater spill, by the way, that was in 2015. And I think that site was just very recently added to the national priority list. But that wastewater spill happened at that Gold King mine, and we had around 3 million gallons of wastewater that discharged into the river there. So as you can see on that picture, that water in the river doesn't look that clean. So we had a lot of issues with contaminations in that domestic water here, mostly heavy metals, lead, copper, these typical elements that you would expect from a mine site. So that is the first site that I will show you a complete dashboard for in EQuiS. Okay. So let's look at the next one, which is the Hudson River PCB cleanup site. So what happened here, just a little bit of history. We had General Electric plants that operated until the 70s here in that region. And they used PCBs in their manufacturing process for electronic parts like capacitors and these things. And you know how these things go. These PCBs were discharged into the river. They were deposited and mixed with the sediments. And now we have all these PCBs in the river sediments. You can see 1.3 million pounds of PCBs actually. And this needs to get cleaned up. And so we really had this cleanup phase here in that dredging, and that happened in 2 phases. And we put some of that information onto an EQuiS Enterprise dashboard. So that is the second one, the Hudson River cleanup here. So the last one, San Fernando Valley. What happened here? That is well, Los Angeles area, and there are large groundwater reservoirs in that valley. And in the 80s, you know, high VOC concentrations were found over there in the groundwater, mainly TCE and PCE. So VOCs in groundwater, that is never a good thing. And so there are some remedies going on, and regular groundwater monitoring, which is obviously producing huge amounts of data. And we put together an enterprise dashboard for that. So 3 sites that I want to focus on. If time permits, we can have a quick look at a 4th one. But later on, as I said, we will send around the screenshots of the other ones. So just very quickly, before we look at these dashboards, I want to show you something about the concept of dashboards in general in EQuiS Enterprise. So dashboards in Enterprise. First of all, every dashboard consists of different elements that we call widgets, right? So we have over 30 different widgets in EQuiS Enterprise, for example, a map widget or a reporting widget, tables, charts, and so on. There are widgets to upload data, to view the status of new data, to report on data, and all of these things. And these widgets can be placed on the dashboards however you need it. So you can structure them very flexible. So for example, if we look at a dashboard, you could put a map on the top here and a couple of reports there in the second row, and maybe 2 tables at the bottom. So that would make up one dashboard here to look at, right? And you can do that with as many dashboards as you like. So the next dashboard could use a couple of charts here, maybe a table in the middle, and some charts over here on the right side. So 2 dashboards, and the best thing is that you can set up as many dashboards as you like. So different dashboards, it's really a very flexible way to report on your data. You can have as many as you need. And one of the biggest advantages with dashboards really is that if you set them up correctly, they will automatically update with the most recent data. So for example, if you have a couple of charts here and a table in the middle, you set these up once, and every time new data is loaded, they will always be updated and contain the newest data. Okay, so just in general for dashboards in enterprise. So let's look at the first one. Here we are, that is the Gold King Mine dashboard. And one quick note, this is all happening in my browser. You don't have to install anything to access these dashboards. It is available online. And I will just maximize my view here so that we are not distracted by anything else here. So Gold King Mine, first of all, we talked about dashboards and widgets. That whole site here is a dashboard. And these individual elements here are widgets, right? So that map widget, for example, over here, I could grab that and move it around just by drag and drop if I like. So let's look at that. When that spill happened, by the way, the old mine is over here in the top right. We looked at an emergency response here. For example, these are arsenic results. So we did that sampling right after that spill, and we have the concentrations of arsenic over here. No, typical blue are low concentrations and red are high concentrations. So over here at that location, we had high concentrations over 16, for example. So probably, that is a location of concern here. We did the same for aluminium over here. We have different ranges, but again, blue low and red high. So then we went one step further and we checked these values against critical levels. So I called them critical levels here, 8 and 10. So what does that mean? Every value that is less than 8 will show a green light over here. For example, in that table, you can see for that location code over here, you can see the report result is 0.00 something. So that is obviously less than 8 and 10, so that is green light. If I scroll down here, you will see that we have these values here, yellow and red. So yellow is everything that is greater than 8, but less than 10, and red is greater than 10, right? So just a very easy way to check against these values here. Typically, you use that with action levels or regulatory levels, right? So same for aluminium over here. And that really makes up the first section of that dashboard. Now here's one thing that you can do in EQuiS Enterprise. You can make these sections collapsible. So if I click on the top right here, that first section will collapse. And I can look at the next one, where we really did the same with 2 other elements. So that isn't that new over here, right? So again, we had some high values over here in the middle. So let's collapse that as well. Then we can look at the last section, which is our reporting section. That contains 3 different reports. In that case, I put in a little reporting preview over here. So we have that table, these box plots over here that we can download, and that analytical statistics report with our trends, the maximum value and the action level. So these can all be downloaded directly here. And if we like, we can also collapse that section. So we would have the whole dashboard collapsed. Then you can maximize these again to review every individual section. Right? Again, flexible. You can add more widgets if you like. You can restructure that. However, it is easiest for you to review that. Okay, let's switch to the next one, which is the Hudson River cleanup. Let me just do that quickly here. That's the Hudson River cleanup dashboard. And again, we have 3 different sections that I collapsed over here to make it easier to see. So the first one, we started with project management. Let's expand that quickly. And you see a bunch of widgets over here. This widget here is totally different to the other ones that we looked at. It's really more of a static widget with some images and links to EPA sites. You know, I can click that link here and it will link to that EPA site here, for example, of the Hudson River PCB Superfund site. And I can go back over here to the dashboard again. And the other links work the same way, right? So first widget. Over here we have a map again. In that case, we don't see any results. We see our dredging status. So red light, the dredging did not even start at that point. Yellow light, it's in progress. Green light, it's already complete, right? So that is the Hudson River over here. We have documents and photos and reports that we can review on that widget over here. We can also download these pictures. If I would click on that, it would download that dredging picture here with the excavator. And, you know, I can scroll through these if I like and look at the different, you know, pictures and reports and so on. It's important to note that all these files are stored directly in the EQuIS database. These are not external links. These are directly stored together with all of the other data in the database. Okay, so let's look at all these tables here. Again, this one is the dredging status, green for complete, yellow for in progress, and so on. We have some more information here, like the location code, the coordinates, and so on. And then we can also look at PCB exceedances over here. That really works similar to the other traffic light widget I showed you on that Gold King Mine dashboard. So green is less than our action levels, red is greater than our action level, right? So the higher values here are usually red, like this 8.41, and the green values are lower values, right? By the way, these tables are really user configurable. You can select which columns of your report you like to show over here. So if you want to bring in your coordinates, for example, of your location, you can bring in your coordinates over here and all the other columns of your report actually. So that one was PCB in water actually, and we also have PCB in soil. So that is the next one over here. And that is another way to look at soil results over here in that data grid. We don't have these traffic light widgets now. You can also download these as an Excel file or filter, for example, for one location code if you like to do that. Right? So just different ways to look at the data in your EQuIS database. So let's maybe collapse that section, the project management section, and look at the next one, the site information section. Again, these are static images over here, like that dredging map over here, and the site information that is really just some overview text, and we have the different sampling locations that we can look at. So let's collapse that one and look at the last one. Chemical analysis. So that is what we all do. And again, we have a map over here. These are PCB results, and it's important to note that these are the most recent results for every location. So whatever was the most recent sampling round that has been loaded into our database, that is shown on that map over here. There we have vertical profile charts in our sediment. So for example, at that location, you can see that the concentration, the PCB concentration, is decreasing first a bit with depth, and then it's increasing as we get to higher depths, right? This is 25 meter deep here. This is around 5 meter deep. And we have two, action levels plotted as well on that chart here. So vertical profile charts for different locations. This is typical. This is just a time series chart for different locations. We can select the different locations on top here together with an action, right? Again, for PCBs. Exceedances, similar to what we just looked at. Red values greater than an action level, green values less than an action level. Okay, so these two widgets here, the gray ones are special ones. This is live data that is coming from USGS data sources. We have the river discharge over time. So you see that is from the beginning of last year to, this is April 24, so 2 days ago. That is the river discharge. We can zoom in here if we like to review the most recent data over here. And that one is similar. That is also coming from USGS. That is dissolved oxygen and nitrate and nitrate. And we can zoom in here again if we like to do that and scroll through the data and review that. Right, so that is updating automatically over here and coming from an online source from USGS. By the way, Matt will show us a bit more about these EQuiS Live features. That is one part of EQuiS Live here, that USGS data feed. So Hudson River cleanup, another dashboard with 3 sections that we had here, you know, totally different, but also, you know, just showing another way to view your data in the EQuiS database. Okay, Hudson River. So let's look at one more, the San Fernando Valley dashboard. Okay, that is this one over here. And I collapsed these sections for now. So we have different sites here. So let's look at site 1 first. We can expand this section. And you see a map widget first here on the left side. This one is really showing a couple of layers, as you can see here in the table of contents. We have, first of all, we have a report layer. So these are TCE concentrations that you see on these locations here. Now, again, red, typically high, and blue is a low concentration. And if I click on any of these, you will actually see the results here over time. So you see the table here. The first one is from 89, actually, so pretty old. And we can scroll through that. The last one is from 2011, right? So that is a report layer from the EQuiS database. And what we also have are contours for TCE, for example, for 91. So you see the contours here, high concentrations on that, you know, dark orange or red area, and lower concentrations over here. So just a typical plume of TCE. And we have the same for 92, 93, and 94. So we can disable this one and look at 92. There we go, take some time. And there we have the 92 sampling round, and do the same for 93 maybe. And then we can look at the different results over here. Now in the middle, we have a time series chart for all locations of that site actually. So if I hover with my mouse over one of these lines, you see the results for TCE for all these different locations, right? So what you can do, if you like, is just highlight one area here on that chart, and that will zoom in to that area, and then you can look at that in more detail, and again hover over these to identify which location that actually is, right? So that is a bit closer. Again, we're plotting an action level as well over here. And notice that scale here is actually logarithmic. So that is something that you often do with chemical analysis. That can always be done on these time series chart widgets. So we can reset the zoom. so we can see everything again. Now, let me show you these filter widgets here. These are very powerful. And what they really do is you can select a criteria here, for example, a date range or location over here in that example, and that will apply to the whole dashboard. So if I select a location over here, for example, the top one, you will see that this chart actually updates, and it's now only showing results for that location, right? Only the black ones here are shown now. I can zoom in on that again if I like. You see it's increasing a bit and then going in that wave over here and then decreasing again, right? Let me just deselect that location again, then you will see all the different locations on that chart again, and the same applies to that traffic light widget here. Now we're seeing all the different locations, and if I would select one, I would only see that location. Now we can do the same with dates. So let's say we want to see all results since 2010 maybe. I can expand that, select 2010 over here, and then I just find, 1st of January 2010 until today, and I apply the filter, and now you will see that that widget updates. I see 2010 to today now, and the same over here with all these other widgets, right? So very powerful way to filter your data on the dashboards. Let's clear that, and then that will update and show everything again, right? Let's collapse that section. And the next one is very similar. It's just another site here. Again, we have a time series chart in the middle over here, that map over here, and the filter widgets. We have only 6 locations in that case, so that is a bit easier to read maybe for you. And again, we can zoom in here maybe to the last ones, and you see the results over here if I hover over that, right? By the way, on these charts, you can even enable and disable individual series if you like. So let's maybe pick this blue one here and disable that. That is this bar here. So if I disable that, that will just be hidden, and I can do the same with a couple of others. If I want to focus on the green one maybe, I only see the green one now, right? So I can just select which location I want to look at, maybe this one or that one, right? So very easy to work with the bigger data sets over here. So let's just refresh to show everything again. And then we can collapse that section as well. And now at the end, we have that summary section, and that is something I really want to show you because that widget is brand new in the most recent EQuiS Enterprise release. And it's really powerful. We call that a Drilldown Widget. And it can be used in different ways. In that example, we are again looking at TCE by location. And we're seeing the maximum value for every single location over here, right? So these are all sampling rounds for every location, and we're looking at the maximum value. And you can see that the black one over here has the biggest max value of all our locations, right? So why is that called a drill down widget? I can click on that bar with the biggest max value, and that will drill down and show me all the years from 89 to 2015. And again, I'm seeing the max values now for TCE. The biggest one is that green one over here that occurred in 92, that was measured in 92. And now again, I can click on that one. And now I see the 2 different sampling rounds, one in February and that other one over here, right? The Feb one was the 5,200 one with that big value, right? So drill down into more details. Typically, you have kind of a summary on the top level, and then you can drill down for example, I can pick that location as well. And then I can see that the biggest value again, the highest value again was measured in 92. Click that one, and let's see, in that case, it was the second sampling round here, not the one in February that had the highest value. Okay, so Drilldown Widget. One more example. Now we're looking at TCE by date. So again, these are the maximum values. We had this value of 5,200. We know that this was measured in 92. So let's click at that 92. And then we see the different sampling rounds actually in 92. And we know it by now, it was a February sampling round where we had this. And now see what happens now. If I click on that, we see the different locations, right? And we know this one was the one with the highest TCE value, right? So you can use that for all kinds of reporting. You can use the max value here. You can also use the sum if you're interested in that. So if, for example, if you want to look at the sum of the TCE results by here, then you can do that as well. That might be totally different than the maximum value, obviously. All right. So the drill down widget, and last but not least, we have that time series chart at the bottom here. Let me just refresh that. And that is just a bigger time series chart widget. Again, you can zoom in here if you like. You can scroll around on that time series chart. And you can actually also download that data if you like. You know that you can click on that button here, download that in an image format, or maybe even the raw data as a CSV file, or print directly from here. So that can all be done on that time series widget. So let's do that. Let's just collapse that section again. That is pretty powerful here with that collapsing sections, by the way. Just quickly, if you're already using EQuIS Enterprise, you can set every section to be collapsible on the advanced properties of every dashboard. So that is a way you can do that. So I think we can leave it there. I think these three dashboards should be fine for now.
So Ellen's question, Yannick, was which widget shows the report preview? So you showed the one actually you have there in the bottom corner. Yeah,
good one. So thanks for that question. I'm actually using the HTML widget for that. So that is really a static file that I uploaded as an image file to the database. And then on that HTML widget, I just link to that image file. I can show you how that works quickly. If I go into the properties here, you see it's really just an HTML link here that's linking to that file ID over here in my EQuIS database. And you can put in the dimensions here of your image if you like to do that. And then you see that link here. So it's not really a widget that's updating dynamically on the report. It's more of a static file that you have to put in here.
Perfect. Thanks, Yannick. And Yannick, I was going to ask you as well, do you, well, we had a question actually earlier about the source of the data. So all the data that you're showing us on these dashboards is all publicly available data, correct?
It is, exactly. So all of that is available on the different EPA sites, on the various Superfund sites, for example, or on other EPA sites, but it's all available online if you like to review that.
Awesome. We have a couple of questions from Kathleen, and I can actually provide some additional details on these. But Kathleen first asked, can you show the contour setup?
So let's find that quickly. So we're looking at that one over here. So these contours over here are actually coming from an ArcGIS online account. And on the map widget over here, if I go into the properties, I can show you that. We have one tab over here called layers, and that is where we brought these in. You see we have 4 different contours over here, and everyone is connected to a link that is coming from that ArcGIS server. So to add one of these contour layers, you can just come to new layer over here, then for the layer type, you would select, in that case, it is an ArcGIS tiled layer, but I think that depends on the way that you publish that. In our case, it's also coming from an ArcGIS online account, but I think the same works with an ArcGIS server. Anyway, you have to publish that layer somehow, and then you can select it here, give it a title, and paste in that service URL, which is this one, and then you can add that to the map like that, and then they are available over here in the table of contents.
And I wanted to mention we're actually doing an office hour on that exact topic, on the setting up contours with the map widget in 2 weeks from tomorrow. So if you guys are interested, that would be a good one to check out. That'll go into more detail on setting up those contours. And then Kathleen also asked, this is a great suggestion, Kathleen. Yannick, can you paste the HTML chat for that report preview? Do you mind pasting that into the chat window? Or I can send that in an email as well if people want it.
Let me just paste it in, and maybe we can also send it around later. So awesome. I just paste it in for now and replace that link actually here with, a little placeholder. So you don't need that, but that should show up in a couple of minutes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. And I'll include that in the email when we send out the recording as well, so you guys can get it from there if you don't have a chance to grab it from the chat. And then one more question from Ellen, which is, how do you know what reports are in the EZView widgets? Are they collapsed?
Yes, so that is something that we actually did specifically for that site here. For the next release, for EQuIS 7, I think we are working on an EZView widget that is more, I should say, maybe more condensed, so it doesn't take so much screen space. So that's what we did over here. So you would have to come into the properties and check it out here. But otherwise, if you're just using a regular EZView widget, you can see it on the widget itself, or if it's collapsed, you can just expand it and then you can see that.
Awesome. Thanks, Yannick. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.